If your income has been inconsistent for more than a year, you're not dealing with a strategy problem. You're dealing with an identity problem. And the reason you can't see it is because the behavior keeping you stuck is the same behavior that feels like progress. Right now, there are people with less skill than you, less structure than you, and less experience than you, making more money consistently. The difference isn't effort. It's not even talent. It's psychological. And once you see what's actually happening, you'll understand why some people stay trapped in income volatility for years, even when they are doing everything they think is right. Here's what makes this so hard to spot. People with inconsistent income are usually not lazy. They're working long hours, trying different ideas, learning constantly, adjusting strategies, staying busy. From the outside, it looks like progress. From the inside, it feels like momentum. But psychologically, something else is happening. They're moving without committing to a single identity signal long enough for income to stabilize. And the market only rewards identity clarity, not activity. Each pivot resets recognition. Each shift restarts the trust curve. And fragmented signals create fragmented income. Income becomes consistent only after your behavior becomes predictable. Not predictable to you, predictable to the market. Most people don't realize this. The market doesn't respond to effort. It responds to patterns. And here's the line that changes everything. You can't get paid consistently for who you might become. You only get paid consistently for who you've been long enough to be recognized as. Read that again. The market doesn't pay potential, it pays pattern recognition. And inconsistent income is usually a reflection of inconsistent psychological positioning. Not bad luck, not timing, not external conditions. When someone shows up differently every week, the market doesn't know what to expect. When expectations don't form, trust doesn't build. When trust doesn't build, transactions stay sporadic. There are two internal states people operate from: exploration mode and commitment mode. Exploration mode sounds productive, trying many angles, testing different offers, adjusting messaging, changing direction quickly. But psychologically, it sends one signal to the market: I'm not sure who I am yet. Commitment mode sends a different signal: repeated action in one direction, stable positioning, recognizable patterns, familiarity over novelty. Income stabilizes only in commitment mode. Most people stay stuck switching between the two, and that switching is what keeps income unstable. Every time you shift, the market's categorization process starts over. And starting over repeatedly prevents the compounding that creates consistency. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Exploration mode protects your identity. As long as you're still figuring things out, failure doesn't fully count. You can always say, I was just testing. I wasn't fully committed. That wasn't the real version yet. Psychologically, this feels safe. But safety creates volatility because the market never fully locks onto someone who hasn't locked onto themselves. And this creates a trap most people never escape. The very behavior that feels like smart adaptation, trying new things, staying flexible, keeping options open, is exactly what prevents the stability you're seeking. You're not protecting yourself from failure. You're protecting yourself from commitment. And commitment is the only thing that creates predictable income. Here's what makes this brutal to watch. Two people start at the same time, same skill level, same audience size, same opportunities. 1 year later, person A is still figuring out their niche. They've tried 5 different angles. Their income looks like this: $3,000, $800, $5,000, $1,200, $400, $6,000. Person B picked one direction and stayed there. Their income looks like this: $2,000, $2,100, $2,300, $2,800, $3,200, $3,800. Person A made more money total. Person B has a business. Person A is exhausted and confused. Person B is building momentum. The difference isn't talent. It's not even work ethic. It's that person B became recognizable, and person A is still introducing themselves. The market doesn't pay for effort. It pays for what it can recognize. And recognition only forms through repetition in one direction. This is where people misunderstand consistency. They think consistency means posting every day, working nonstop, grinding harder. That's not consistency. That's motion. Real consistency is identity consistency. Who you are, what problem you solve, what signal people associate with you. If that keeps changing, income will too. You can post every single day, but if your positioning shifts weekly, the market still doesn't know what you represent. You can work 80-hour weeks, but if your message changes constantly, effort doesn't translate to recognition. Activity is not the same as stability. Frequency is not the same as coherence. And coherence is what the market pays for, because coherence creates trust, and trust creates transactions. Without it, you're always starting from zero, even when you've been working for years. Inconsistent income is often a sign of unfinished identity work, not missing skills. Your nervous system is still deciding, is this who I am? Is this safe to commit to? What if this fails publicly? Until that internal decision is made, your actions will keep hedging, and hedged actions produce hedged results. The market mirrors uncertainty with instability every time. When you haven't decided who you are, every piece of content is an experiment. Every offer is tentative. Every message is provisional. And provisional positioning creates provisional income. The shift happens when you stop asking the market to tell you who you should be and start showing up as someone specific long enough for the market to respond. That's not arrogance, it's clarity. And clarity is what ends the income roller coaster. Here's the mental shift that changes everything. Stop asking, is this working yet? Start asking, have I stayed consistent long enough for it to work? Most things fail not because they're bad, but because they're abandoned right before predictability forms. Income doesn't spike first, it stabilizes first, then it grows. But stability requires psychological endurance. The people who break through aren't smarter, they're not luckier, they're not better connected. They just stop switching. They committed to one direction long enough for the market to recognize them, long enough for trust to form, long enough for referrals to happen, long enough for reputation to compound. And once that foundation exists, everything else gets easier. Once you accept this, something changes. You stop chasing novelty. You stop panicking over short-term dips. You stop interpreting silence as failure. You understand that repetition is not stagnation. It's signal amplification. And signal amplification is what turns effort into consistency. When you commit to one identity, your brain stops scanning for alternatives. When it stops scanning, your energy consolidates. When your energy consolidates, your output sharpens. When your output sharpens, the market starts to respond. Not because you got better overnight, but because you finally stayed in one place long enough to be seen clearly. Real growth happens after lock-in, not before. Most people aren't failing. They're fragmenting themselves. Too many directions, too many pivots, too much identity protection, and the result looks like inconsistent income, unpredictable results, constant rebuilding. Not because they're incapable, but because they never stayed visible in one form long enough to be recognized. Consistency isn't about discipline. It's about psychological commitment. Once that locks in, income follows. If this made sense, the next video breaks down why staying busy actually reinforces income instability and how to tell the difference between work that builds momentum and work that just feels productive.